Miss St. Germain here again. I'm sorry it's been several days. I have been actively participating in a crash course in teaching kindergarten online. So we've been pretty swamped around here trying to get prepped and ready for the next steps for our kids in school. So I wanted to jump on tonight and post this video. I've got a few other videos prepped and I just need to film them. So I'm hoping to be able to get a couple more out and then a few more out in the next couple of days. So thank you for your patience. I hope that these have been very helpful to you. I think that teachers, especially teachers of the lower grade, kids learning how to read just seems kind of like this mystical thing. And I think that sometimes we forget to explain that, like, how these pieces go together and fit together and how they end up making a reader. So I hope that this is kind of putting some of those puzzle pieces together for you. Tonight's video is going to be focused on three big skills that are really several more skills than that, but three big skills: blending, segmenting, and isolating sounds. These are like rhyming and counting syllables. They can be done, practicing these skills can be done in the dark. You don't need any materials. These are really just about hearing sounds and words and manipulating sounds and words. But I do have some really great videos and some really great resources linked below if you want to do more practice, pen to paper, or cutting things out, or just having something to do while you're practicing these skills while you're home with kids. So I'm gonna break down each skill and hopefully kind of explain why this skill is important and what it leads to. So we're gonna start with blending. The first part of blending and the first way I teach blending is called blending onset rhyme, and you will see that. And those are just weird words. It's not something we use in everyday vocabulary, but that just simply means the beginning sound and then the rest of the word. So when I'm blending and I want the kids to blend onset rhyme, I'm going to say something like ish. What word is that? Ish. What word? And I want them to say fish. This is a skill that some kids just get really quick, that some kids just can do really easily, but it's also all of these skills, blending, segmenting, and isolating sounds, some kids do very naturally, and some kids really have to work at it, and there's not a big rhyme or reason to it. I find that kids with lots and lots of vocabulary tend to do really well because as they're searching for what that might sound like, they have a word right away. So, which is why we tell you guys to read and read and read and read and talk and talk and talk and talk to your kids, because it builds that vocabulary. So when I'm teaching blending, I start with blending onset rhyme. That's just the very beginning sound and then the rest of the word. And these are things that you can literally just do in the car. When you're driving in the car, R. What word is that? Ish, ch, air. Any of just breaking the first part of the word away from the second part and having the kid put it together. The next step in blending is breaking it down by sound. So that's when you'll see things like CVC, that means consonant, vowel, consonant words. Those words are really great for practicing these skills. So you'll hear like k, at. What word is that? Cat. T, op. What word is that? Top. It's just practicing hearing those sounds and putting it together. Kids blend typically easier than they segment. So the reason we teach blending and the reason blending is such an important practice skill is because eventually I want them to be looking at a book and I want them to come to an unfamiliar word, and once we're practicing letters and sounds and once they're comfortable with those things, I want them to be able to look at that word and go k, at, cat. And if they have practiced the skill without a symbol in front of them, it's a much easier thing to get once they're able to do that. If they can do it without letters sitting in front of them, then once they have letters sitting in front of them, it's a lot easier. So that's why blending is so important. Okay, segmenting. Segmenting is the opposite of blending. Segmenting is harder. Kids blend before they segment typically. What I use to teach segmenting is I have on my cabinets, I have like just so, I have all my word families. But most of them are CVC, like consonant, vowel, consonant words. A lot of them are, or it might be like, you'll see CV, like CCVC, or consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant. That just means a word that begins with a digraph, like SH, or CH, or a word that begins with a blend, like flip or ship, would also be in the same family as like dip. So I have these posted in my room, and so what we do is I just we'll break them down, and I do this arm movement, and I have a video attached that shows this. When we're segmenting, I'll say dip, dip, dip. And I want them to take the word and break it apart. We also practice breaking it. That's something we do in small group, but the point of segmenting is being able to hear the word and hear the whole word together, and then breaking it into each individual sound. So like ship, ship. I know it seems kind of weird and like, why would that even be important? But it helps them to identify and isolate sounds, and kids that can segment really well end up being really good spellers, because they are able to break words apart in ways that are familiar, and eventually it will be more complicated than ship and dip and flip, and they'll be able to put those harder pieces of words together. So that's why segmenting is so important. And again, this is something you can do without anything. I like to use this little trick, but you can do this. I tell my parents and families to do this in the car. Okay, the last one is isolating sounds. And that is identifying the beginning sound, the middle sound, and the ending sound in a word, which sounds just like what we just did. But you're also matching them and finding similarities in other words. So I always start with the beginning. When I'm teaching beginning sound, we're listening to see words that have the same beginning sound. So I might say moon, moon. Okay, and then I'll show them like a picture of a pig and a milk jug and a star. And so I'll say moon, pig, milk, star. Which one starts with the same sound as moon? So we're just trying to match being able to identify and isolate that beginning sound. Once kids start doing really well with being able to isolate and identify the beginning sound, then we go to the middle sound. Middle sound is tricky because the vowel sounds are hard. The vowel sounds are hard. I'm going to do one of the videos that I'm getting ready to do is about letters and sounds, and the difficulty of teaching English. But the vowel sounds are rather difficult. I and E are very difficult. You've got A, E, I, O, U, A, or A, E, I, so we really struggle with these three, A, E, I. Those are the ones that typically kids will get really mixed up. And U kind of comes last because they want to say yeah instead of but it's isolating middle sounds. So it's very much the same process. So if I say a word like pot, then I'm going to show them pictures of, I'll show them pictures of a cat and pictures of a mug and pictures of a cot. No, not a cot. Let's do it different. Like a hop, like a bunny hop. So I'll say, what did I say? Mop. I don't even know if that was the right word. Hot. I think it was hot. Hot. Cat. Mug. Hop. Which one has the same middle sound? And I usually use my 3 fingers. I'll say, ah. We're looking for ah. So we're trying to isolate that sound and really focus on that middle, with the middle sound. All of this is the same for the ending sound, same kind of process. We're really just focusing. Pictures are great for this, but you can totally do this. This is one that you can do, again, in the dark. You do not need anything for this. And when you're practicing in the car, it's just a lot of we use consonant, vowel, consonant words, those CVC. So mat, cat, The English language is really built on, word families are so important. If you can read rat, you can read mat and cat and sat and hat, because all we're doing is changing that beginning sound, which is why it's important for us to practice and learn how to isolate a sound, because it leads to being able to manipulate a word. If I have at, I can put an R in front of it, and I know that the beginning sound is what's changing, so I'm going to say rat, rat. Again, that's also blending onset and rhyme. All of these skills come together, and we practice these skills, blending, segmenting, and isolating sounds, without symbols before you practice them with a symbol or a letter. It's just that we practice them without symbols so that it's a practiced skill. It's something that they're familiar hearing and doing. And then once you put a letter in front of them, then especially for those visual babies, then it helps to really put it together. It is amazing what their brains can do. It is amazing that these little teeny tiny human beings are figuring out letters and sounds. They're doing all these complicated blending and segmenting and isolating sounds and rhyming and syllables. They're doing all of these things, and they're also, like, you know, just barely out of potty training, and still some of them don't wipe their bottoms now and need help getting their pants pulled up. Like, it's amazing that these are, like, they're doing these very complex things, and also being, you know, someone who still wants to climb in bed with you at night. So I hope that this is helpful. My next videos, I'm hoping to do one on sight words and one on letters and sounds quickly here, and writing. Those are the ones that I'm really, maybe I should do reading before writing. So those are the ones I'm hoping, those are my big four that I'm hoping to do next. I'm gonna really try and get them out quickly. Be patient with me. We are all trying desperately to figure out how to teach kindergarten online and all the other grade levels online starting next week. So thank you so much for watching these. Let me know if there's anything that you have questions about, or you don't understand or need some clarification on. I'm happy to answer in the comments. I really appreciate it. The easiest way to continue getting these videos straight to your inbox is to subscribe. You'll get a notification the next one that pops up. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have a good night.